G'day, this is Christine from Gecko Gully Websites. Quite a few people have asked me, how do I put a form onto my website for when I want to run a class? They want to get information about the person who wants to come to the class. They want to send out information after somebody has booked, and they also want to limit the number of people who can come to the class and get people to pay for it. So what I've done is I'm running a system on WordPress called WooCommerce, which is my e-commerce platform, and I have added in a thing called Gravity Forms. If you're one of my clients, then I can add that into your system for you, one of my WordPress clients. If you're not one of my clients, what you need to do is go to gravityforms.com, and you're going to need to get probably their developer license, because you're going to need quite a lot of the features in there. You may be able to do this with the free version, I'm not sure, but try the free version if you don't already have it, and if you can't do it, then you'll need to get the paid version. You're also going to need to go to woothemes.com and get a WooCommerce extension called it's called something like Gravity Forms Product Add-on. So you're going to need both of those things running installed into your website, and of course WooCommerce. So once you've got all that set up, the first thing to do is to set up a form. So you go to Forms in the main menu, click on Add New, and give your form a title. Now this form can be used for multiple classes. It's not just used for one particular class and then you use another form for another class. But if you need to gather different information for different classes, you'll need one form for each set of information you need. So let's just call this one class details. And for the form description, this is optionally displayed, but we can say please fill in the following to give us more information. Whatever, you can put whatever you like in there, and you click on create form. By the way, I'm going to be pausing the video occasionally just to save time for you watching this later. So if things tend to jump a little bit, then it's just because I've paused the video as I did just then. Now the next thing you're going to see is a screen like this. So what you need to do is you need to start adding some fields. A field is a box for people to fill in. You can see, if I scroll down, you can see that there are instructions here on what to do, so you can have a read of them when you get to this, but I'm about to show you what they will do anyway. So let's think about what we might want on our form. Let's say we want to know let's assume we're running a quilting shop, and we want to know what level of quilting experience this person has got. So and by the way, don't forget that when they pay for it and they register as a customer, they will be giving you their name and their address and their phone number and their email address. So you don't need to ask all that on the form. If you have your system set up so that you don't ask that information, so if the guest checkout is allowed on your system, then you will need to ask all that on the form. But I've only got one client who's actually got guest checkout allowed, and as far as I know, she doesn't need to use this. So if you need to change things, get back to me if you're one of my clients. So let's look at what fields we'll need. Maybe we'll ask for radio buttons, so we just click on radio buttons, and we're going to go over here. When I move my mouse over this area, these things pop up, so we'll go edit. We want to change the field label to what is your level of patchworking experience? Okay, and then for the first choice we'll say beginner. For the second choice we'll say intermediate. Did I spell that wrong? Intermediate. There we go. And for the third choice we'll say experienced. You can make them whatever you like. If we tick here, we can make it that's the default. Okay, now that's the main thing that we need to do there. The only other thing we need to do really is, do we want to have it required? So we can tick required if we want to. Bear in mind that there's these little like thought buttons, if you like, thought balloons, and if you hover over any of these, it'll give you a description of what that particular thing does. There's also another one if you want to say other, so we can say other, and we can say what's our other choice? We can say please explain. Okay, so what that's going to look like, we can see when we close, it's going to look like this: beginner, intermediate, experienced, other. So if they are an other person, then they can type in there what their what their level of experience is. They might want to explain it. Let me just think of something else to put in here. Let's do where's the paragraph text? Okay, so we can go edit, and we can say, please tell us if you have any disabilities or special requirements. Okay, so then they can fill a box out, and we can say close. So this is what our form's looking like so far. Now if we want to move things around, we simply move the mouse over the header area of a field, and we hold down the left mouse button, and then I'm moving my mouse, and then I let go of my left mouse button, and it's moved the position of that. Now most of what you're going to use will be in this first standard fields thing. Have a play with it, okay? If you want to, you can go into advanced fields, so they've got things set up already for you that will be asking for some of this information. Be careful of the file upload one. That's where people can actually send you a file. That is a good way to get people to send you a virus. Okay, so you probably want to avoid using that unless you need to. The other thing you can do if you want to is you can put a captcha in there. I'll just click on captcha, which is one of these things. In the case of when you're actually doing a class, you probably don't need that. By the way, if you're not one of my clients and you want to use this, you're going to need to go to reCAPTCHA, which is recaptcha.com, and sign up for an account, and they'll give you a public and a private key, and you need to enter those when you start up, when you put in your settings for Gravity Forms. For a class situation, you probably don't need this, because the captcha is mainly to avoid people spamming you, and people aren't going to spam you and then pay you money. Okay, so in this case I'm probably just going to delete that. So we can say warning, deleting this field. Yes, okay, I want to delete it. So at this stage let's just leave it like that, our form. So we can click update form, and we get form updated successfully. Now let's go and have a little look under confirmation. So we go to form settings, and then the drop down box is confirmations. And what do we want to happen? Edit. It's going to, this is after the person has filled out the form, it's going to give this message. Okay, we can also have it send to another page if we want to, or we can redirect completely out of the place if we want to, but that's fairly straightforward. You can change that if you want to. Notifications is how do you want to be notified when when, let's go edit, when a form has been filled out. So we can go to edit, and then we can go in here when the default is to send an email to whatever you've got sent for as your admin email. You can have the email sent to other places if you want to. You can have the email say all the details of the form and so forth. The other thing to know is that when you have had a form filled out, you'll see a thing on your dashboard that gives all the form details, of how many times it's been filled out, and you can click on that and go and see all the details of the form. Now, how do we get a form into a product? Let's go to products, and we'll go to, actually first of all we'll add a category, because we don't have a category for classes at the moment on this particular website. So we'll go classes, add new product category. That's easily done. Now we'll go to add product. So let's put in a name for our product. Let's call it Christine's Amazing Class. Okay, you can call it whatever you like, but this is the specific class. Next we want to put in, here is a description of all the stuff you will learn in the class. Don't forget to put a date for the class, assuming it's something that's actually going to be held on a certain date. Put a location, okay, especially if it's not going to be held in your normal location, like in your shop. And also you want the times. Okay. You might also want to set up a page which has the class terms and conditions. So things like, you need to book at least 24 hours advance and you can't cancel within the last 24 hours, all that sort of stuff. So you want to put terms and conditions, and then you'll put a link to your terms and conditions page in there. Okay, we'll put it into the classes category. Another thing you can do is you can actually set it up so that it will become no longer visible after a certain date, or you can put it so that it's no longer, sorry, I said that wrong. You can make it so that it's only visible after a certain date. So you say, well, I don't really want to start taking bookings for this until, say, 2 weeks before the class or something like that. So you can do that, publish, you can set in the date that you want to publish it on from, okay? Now, this part is where you're going to do a lot of the work. First of all, it's not a simple product because you're not actually going to be shipping anything. We could make it a virtual product, or we could make it a downloadable product. Now, the difference is a virtual product is what you are when you're providing a service, which a class really is. It's a virtual product. You're not actually going to be shipping anything. But they do need to pay for it, and they're going to receive a service as a result. A downloadable product is very similar, except that you're going to give them a file, like a PDF file or something, after the purchase. So what I would recommend is that we click this downloadable, and we actually give them a PDF after they have booked, which is all the details of what they need to do to prepare for the class. Okay, which reminds me, we have something else in here. Class requirements. So that will say what level of experience is required, whether you need to bring a sewing machine or not, anything people are going to need to know about the class before deciding whether to book. This is not the place for the class requirements. This is the place for telling people, okay, thanks very much for booking. Now that you've booked, before you come, could you please, like in the case of a quilting class, could you please cut 24 2.5-inch wide strips of your main feature fabric. You wouldn't cut strips of your main feature fabric, but anyway, cut strips of your sashing fabric, okay, before you come. If you're not sure how to do this, we can teach you that in the first class, but please advise us. That sort of thing, okay? So in order to get a file in here, what we do is very, very similar to uploading an image. You can simply go upload files, and you can simply drag and drop from your computer. So I'm just going to drag in a PDF to here and let it drop down into there. Just wait for it to load, and then we can say insert file URL, and so there we've got our URL for our file is in there. And if you ever see a little box like this with these little dots in the corner, not sure if you can see this on the resolution on YouTube, but you can put your mouse over that and you can drag it to make it bigger. Okay, so you can close that up if you need to see what the path is to that file. Now, next bit, when you're selling a downloadable product, we've got the download limit and the download expiry. Now, normally when you're selling a downloadable product, I'd recommend you limit them to being able to download the thing 3 times, and to the expiry date to being 3 days. Okay. So that way it's less likely to be shared with people. But in this case, there's a really good chance that you might book a class a couple of weeks before the class date, and you download the requirements then, and then a week later you'll say, oh gee, what did I need for that class? And so you'll go and download it again, and then maybe the day before the class you'll think, oh, I didn't do my preparation work, I've really got to go and do that. So you'll download it again. So you probably be best in this case to leave these boxes blank, so that they can download as often as they want to, and also they can download it for as long as they need to. Even after the class they might want to download something in there. Price, you can put in a price. Let's say our class is $50. Okay. Now another thing that we're going to want to do here, we'll go to inventory, and we're going to, actually this is not a good example because on this particular website I've actually got it set up so that we're not managing inventory. But if you just bear with me for one moment, I'll go and change the settings on this website, and then I'll come back to the screen. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone into WooCommerce settings and I've gone to the inventory tab. Previously I had this not ticked, and the reason for that is because this particular site is actually a physical store, and so it's really difficult to keep track of the stock levels when you've got a physical store as well as a a website. So I had this unticked, but for the classes we really do want to keep track of how many we've got left available, how many places we've got left available in a class. So I've ticked the enable stock management. In this box, by the way, if you're one of my clients, I'll be setting all this up for you, but this is mainly for the benefit of somebody who wants to change it later on, or for somebody who's not one of my clients. For the hold stock, you can normally it's set to 60 by default, but depending on how people are going to pay you, you might want to get rid of that. It's basically if somebody hasn't paid for it within 60 minutes of them ordering, then the order will be cancelled. So depending on how people are paying, if you're only using PayPal, leave that on. If you're using anything other than PayPal, I've got a system called Mails, which allows you to use your own merchant facility by credit card payments, you might want to take that off. So in this case, because they're using the Mails, I've taken that off. Notifications, do you want to be notified when this thing gets low? Do you want to be notified when it's out of stock? I've ticked both of those to yes. This is the email address that will be notified. The low stock threshold, which is when are you going to be told that it's getting low, will be 2, and out of stock will be 0. Here we've got hide out of stock items from the catalogue. You can tick this if you want to. What that means is that when you have actually sold out of a product, in this case a class, it'll actually disappear from the website. But it might be a good idea in the case of classes just to leave it up, just in case somebody comes along later and wants to actually book, and then you have a cancellation, so you can take that late booking. Now the last bit, stock display format. At the moment I've got it set to only show stock when low. I'm thinking these are your options. You've got always show stock, only show stock when low, and never show stock amount. In the case of this particular website, I'm going to change it to never show stock amount, because for most of their products, all the non-classes, they're not going to be using stock levels. So we don't really want to have the stock levels being displayed when they're not really relevant, especially since the stock levels for most of these things is going to be 0. So let's just click Save Changes on that. Of course, if you're running a normal website, which is only a website and not a shop as well, then you can say, well, hey, we've only got 2 places left in the class effectively by using this middle one, or we can say, say this bit here, so you can say it'll always show how many you've got left, how many places you got left. So let's go back to our product. And I've cheated a little bit because I've refreshed the screen. So you can see now this is the inventory tab. Yes, we do want to enable stock management for this, okay, because we do, so on this site, most of the products will have that not ticked, but on this one we want it ticked. Now let's say, for example, we've got 10 spots available in our class, so we want to say, yes, we've got 10. Stock status is either in stock or out of stock, and obviously it's in stock because we've got 10 of them. Back orders do not allow. If you really are thinking, well, yes, I would squeeze in an extra couple if I had to, then you can say that you will allow, but you'll notify the customer to say, well, we've sold out, but yes, I'll take it. Or you can say allow, because you might think, well, hey, if I get 100 of them, I'll just book a haul or something, But most of the time you'll just say do not allow. Sold individually means that you can set this so that people can only buy a quantity of 1 each time they order. It's probably a good idea for classes, although people might be wanting to have them and a friend come, so they might want to pay for 2 people at once. So it's up to you whether you want to put that in. The advantage is that people can't order 2 by mistake. Okay, so in this case I'm just going to leave it that they can put in the number if they want to. Shipping is a tricky one. Now, with shipping, for a virtual or a downloadable product, obviously there's no shipping involved. I mean, unless you're actually going to be posting something to somebody, as part of the ordering process. But most of the time you won't. Shipping's a tricky one. We really do need to be putting in free shipping for this product, so no shipping is involved. When you have set up your product, I want you to do a test order and make sure that it's, just order that one product, and I want you to make sure that it's not going to be charging for shipping for the product. Also make sure you're not getting any sort of an error message in there saying, hey, there's been no shipping set up for this thing. Then if you're one of my clients and you're having problems with that, get back to me and we'll discuss whether we need to change the shipping class structure or what it is we need to do to make sure that your customers aren't going to be charged shipping when they just order a product like that. The rest of these things you don't need for this particular case. Now, the next bit we need to look at is we go down here to Gravity Forms Product Add-ons. Choose Form, Class Details. So when you drop that box down, you'll see all the forms that you've set up. Do we want to display the title? Yep. Do we want to display the description? Yep. Do we want to remove the WooCommerce price? Well, most of the time with classes, I can't really think of a time when the price would vary according to different things, but no, we'll just leave that, leave the WooCommerce price in there, leave the pricing as it is, okay? And we may as well disable calculations. Options is like if you want to, have, will a kit be supplied, or would you like afternoon tea included in your class, or whatever. I can't really think of any plausible things that you're going to need in there, but so most of the time we'll just click disable calculations, we'll click disable total, we'll disable that, and we'll disable that. Okay, so it's all pretty straightforward. We'll go back up here. Oh, we didn't set a featured image, so let's set a featured image for this. I'm going to go to upload files. So this is exactly the same as what we did for our PDF, and I've got this favorite little thing called Cowboy, which I do when I'm testing. So we'll go set featured image, and then it is ready to publish. So let's click publish. Now this is a live site, so I'm hoping that the client's not noticing this, but I'll go and delete it in just a minute. And then we'll go to view product. I'll just hit pause for a minute. And here we are at the website. Now, so what we've got is we've got Christine's amazing class. It's saying it's in stock. I can't remember whether I changed that setting or not, but if you don't want that to appear and you can't get rid of it, then let me know and I can get rid of it for you. Class details, so that's our form title. There's our form description, and then here's our form. Okay, so we can fill in the form, whatever we want to put. We can tick what our level of experience is. We can go other. We can say I am an expert. Now I've just noticed something, that text is rather small. If that's a problem for you, and the same here, that text is rather small. If that's a problem for you, get back to me and I'll do some CSS changes and changes on the way the website looks and fix that up for you. That's a fairly easy fix. In fact, for this particular client, I'll do that immediately. And then they simply go to add to cart. So they've filled, and down here they've got the product description, obviously, so and a lot of details. So that's pretty much how it is. What will happen is when somebody buys the product, they might pay for it by PayPal, in which case PayPal will tell your system that the purchase has been paid for, and that number available, that 10, will go down to 9. Okay, it'll go down, it'll reduce the quantities for you. If you're using something like my clients use a thing called Mails that I told you about before, where they need to actually manually put the charge through, what you need to do is once you've put that charge through, so you've got the money, you then go into the orders area of WooCommerce and you need to change the status of the order from pending to processing. That's something that PayPal does for you automatically, but if you have done the manual change, the manual charge of the card, you'll need to do that manually, changing the status from pending to processing. And when that happens, when it changes from pending to processing, that PDF will be emailed out to the customer as well, or a link to the PDF will be emailed to the customer. So of course that'll be done automatically if they've paid by PayPal, but if you're doing it the manual payment, then that'll happen when you change it to processing. One more thing that I thought of If you are running a physical shop, which most of you who run classes will be doing, as well as, so you're going to be taking class bookings through the shop as well as class bookings online. I was talking with a client yesterday and she had a really good idea, and that was, let's say you've got 10 spots available for the class. Just make the availability online, set that to 7, for example, okay? That way you don't have to be always rushing to the computer to update the number available when you get a booking through the shop, okay? You've allowed a little bit of a buffer. You've allowed for 3 bookings in the shop and 7 bookings online. If you find that with your customer base you tend to get lots of bookings through the shop and hardly any online, you can just make 3 or 4 available online and make the rest of them available through the shop. When you want to go back and change, I'll just go back here. When you want to go back and change the quantity available, you can go back into Edit and go into Inventory and change that stock quantity. And I'll just pause and just check that this other way works before I tell you about it. Hang on. Yes, it does. So the other way that's just quick to change the stock levels is to go to your product screen, which is this one here, and then click on Quick Edit for that particular product, and then down here you can quickly change the stock quantity. Third way that doesn't apply to this particular website, so I can't show it to you, is with those of you who don't have a physical store, I may have built in a stock level maintenance screen for you, and so obviously you can go in there and change your your stock levels on that. So, and again, when you've sold out here, if you want to remove it, you can change published to draft. That's probably a good way to do it if you think you're going to be running the class later on as well, or you can make it down here, you can change it to hidden if you want to, or you can simply delete the product altogether, but that's probably not a good idea, because if you want to run the class again later on, you're going to have to do all the setting up again. So that's pretty much it. Oh, by the way, after you change the stock quantity, you click the update button. Sorry. That's it. I know it's one of my longer videos, but if you want to use this and you've got any questions about it, then get back to me and I'll be happy to discuss your needs. Thanks. See ya.